And do you think in working with teenagers, and, often we're not talking about high trauma situations where, of course, those situations do happen when there's been a death of a family member or similar circumstances, and the child is living hours or a long way from home. But in the circumstances that we're talking about and trying to give parents some tools, Lisa, you mentioned before about, pausing, just taking the urgency off the situation when your child or your teenager calls you, having had a terrible day at school, or, whether it's a detention or a friend that's being cruel. I wondered, could you give parents some more, I guess it's hard sometimes for parents not to overreact and to take that pause.
And as I said before, it's tricky because it's horses for courses, and it does sort of leverage into the culture of the family and the culture of the school. And certainly in the experience we've had with different schools, it can be vastly different in terms of how those sorts of challenges are caught or not. And we've certainly had experiences where there's an acceptance that there's a culture of resilience, and that everyone has difficulties, and that those difficulties are accepted as something that need to be talked about and bounced through the school system and within the peers. And we've had situations where there's been a very much more sort of shut down approach from the school, where it's been really that's not a priority, that's something that's not important, really they're making a lot of fuss, and it's not something that's valued. So I really think it's a very tricksy connection between parents and their beliefs about what needs to be attended to and what's normal and what's not, and what a school values and how they express that in the way that they do their pastoral work. Having regular connections within the school is a really important, and some of the really successful times for our kids has been where schools have got rituals and come-togethers that are are collective and regular, and the kids feel really heard. And that tends to be a place then, if you do get that call, that you can say, well, don't forget you're doing your mentor catch-up, or you've got your home group, or you've got your the boarding collective that you're going to, and that's been really helpful, so that kids know that they can go and talk in those forums. But equally, I think, parents really need that coaching too, to be able to know what supports are available. And if you are worried about your child, that you can say to someone, can you just check in with them? And they will.
Yes.
Super important. And very busy place, a boarding school. I think
they certainly are. You've really highlighted that not only for the child to have someone they feel they can go to, or those mentor support groups and that in place, but also the parent to build the connections at the school. One of the things we talked about last year in this forum was building communities away from the places you call home. So really investing yourself into the school that you've chosen for your child, and making those connections too, so that when things do go awry, that you've got someone that you can call and say, what's the real deal here? Do we stand down, or do we need to jump in?